Good afternoon. All you are welcome in the second year of mechanical engineering. And today we will see the basics of material science and metallurgy. Now, this is one subject, that is material science and metallurgy, in your curriculum. Now, first of all, before starting the regular syllabus, first I would like to introduce this subject. Initially, all should know why this subject is important, and then only it is the fantasy of the subject that you can be able to learn that particular subject with a very interesting things. What is the basic problem in the students? What I have identified, the students are unable to know why this subject has been included in the curriculum and why I should learn this particular subject. Now, and that's why whatever may be the interest of that particular subject, the students are not taking seriously, or they are not learning the subject seriously, because they are not knowing why this subject has been included and what is the importance of this particular subject. And myself, before going for that subject, I would like to introduce myself. I am Mr. S.D. Patil. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. So, students, we will start with the contents of this particular lecture. First, we will complete the introduction of the material. Then, what are materials? You should know what are the meaning of the materials. Then, history of the material. This is the very important part. Unless and until you are not knowing these things, it is very difficult to learn this subject properly. Now, in the introduction, first, might be there will be a question in your mind: what is the meaning of material, or what is the use of it? Now, why this subject is included in your syllabus? First, you just try to understand, because this is the very important subject as far as that engineering is concerned. Because everything, whatever you may want to design, you want to go for the production, you want to go for any manufacturing processes, without material you cannot be able to completely learn that particular subject. When you want to go for the designing, you should focus on the material at the first. You just choose the material, and then only you can be able to complete all those calculations or all those numerical part based on the strength of that particular material. So unless and until you cannot be able to know about this particular subject, you cannot be able to learn the engineering. So this is the very much important part of this particular, I can say, engineering, that you should learn the materials and whatever the material science and the metallurgy behind it. So in the day-to-day life, which kind of that material we are using. Now this is some applications that has been shown in this particular diagram. So here you are watching this is the aeroplane, this is the racket, or we can say this is the badminton racket, then this is the house, this is the car, this is the bicycle. Now all those applications I have shown over here. Now just think about it, how those applications has been made. It has been made with some kind of that material. Sure, that material is different for each this application. Now here you have used the many more materials just to manufacture the aeroplane. It might has been used some composite material. Might has been used some bronze. It has been might have used some steels. Likewise, here some sort of that plastic has been used to manufacture one house. It is needed some concrete, it needed some sort of that steel, it needed the bricks, it needed the wood. So these kind of that material, basic material, has been used to manufacture the any kind of that house, or to build any kind of that house. Then this is the car. In the car you are aware about it. So some tires, that is rubber, has been used to manufacture the tires. Then some sort of that aluminium part has been used. Then nowadays some sort of that composites has been used to manufacture the cars. Some interior has been made with the some sort of the that dashboard and all, with the help of some sort of that fibers. Now this is the bicycle. Many more material has been used to manufacture the, or just to assemble this particular bicycles. Now just imagine, whatever may be the our life, if suppose there is know any material we are using. So which kind of that life we are living then? So it is in the ancient years, whatever may be our what we can say, that human beings. So in the previous year, they are not using any kind of that material. So we will, in the next part, in the history of the material, we will discuss on that also. But just imagine, there is no any material in your life, so you cannot be able to use any mobiles, you cannot be able to use any bicycle, you cannot be able to use any kind of that cars. So all those applications what we are using in the nowadays, we cannot be able to use it. So the life without material, we cannot be able to imagine it. So now first, what is the meaning of material? What is material? This is the question. Now we will discuss in this particular slide. Material is a substance or a mixture of a substance that constitutes an object. Okay, so you just try to understand this first. A material is a substance or a mixture of substances that constitutes an object. Any object has been manufactured with some sort of that substance or the mixture of the substance. Now, material can be pure or impure. Now, it is the just next part of it. Sometimes some sort of that impurity might has been present in the material, or might be that material it is in the some sort of that pure form. Just take an example of the gold. When we are just doing some sort of that mining, when we are mining the gold, so at the initial stage we are not directly using that gold just to make some sort of that jewelry, because that gold what we have achieved through the mining processes, it has been in some sort of that impure form. So some sort of that processing has been carried out on that particular gold, and then it has been used as a to just to make some sort of that jewelry. So living or non-living matters. Again, it is just pure, impure, or living, non-living matter. Material can be classified based on their physical and chemical properties, or on their geological origin or biological function. So these are the some sort of that how that material has been classified. This is the term it has been given. So it has been classified either on their physical or chemical properties, or geological origin or biological functions. So material science is the study of materials and their application. Now our subject is the material science. Now what is the meaning of material science? Means we have to study some materials, and after not only that has been restricted just to the study the material, then it has been extended that material where we can be able to use, means their applications. So what application in the previous slide I have shown, that are called as an application. Means in the aeroplane some composite has been used, some sort of that aluminum has been used. So aluminum composite, this is the material, and the application means we are using it is in the aeroplane. So aeroplane is the application of that particular material. So these are the some sort of that study has been carried out in this particular subject. So to make any kind of that application, we needed the material, and under the material science we are going to study that. So we will take one material, then we will study that material thoroughly, how that material has been manufactured, that is called as the substances, and the mixture. So how that material has been manufactured or generated. So that substances that should be there, or some sort of that mixture it has been manufactured, and then we will study where that material has been used, that is the application of that specific material. So that's why this is very interesting subject. Now first we will discuss, this is very the basic terminology, it is not related to your syllabus, but in the previous subjects like the history or science in the 8th standard, 7th standard, 6th standard, 5th standard, you have studied all those things. So only we will take the revision of this, because all those studies somewhere some has been forgotten, because of you have just again concentrated on the theoretical things. But this all those studies has you have studied. So this is the milestone of the progress in the material, the development and the advancement of the human society closely related with the materials. So whatever may be the development of the human beings are there, or whatever the advancement of the human society it is there, that is related with the materials only. Now that the one best example of the material or the development or advancement, that is the initially we are not using any kind of that bicycles or that your cars or any motorcycles for the transportation purpose. But in the advancement phase, once we have found out some material, then these kind of that application has been made just to for the advancement of the human societies. And then later in the latter phases, just some sort of that steam engine was found out, then that train was there, then in the advancement some helicopters was there, then nowadays we are using the aeroplanes just as a mode of the transportation. So this advancement was carried out. Now what is the use of this advancement, students? We are saving the time. Initially we can be able to transport this material, but that transportation has been carried out in the shorter period of the time, that is called as an advancement. Okay, again one example of the advancement, you can be able to take your mobile phones, because you are very familiar with the mobiles. Initially we are using the landline phones, then some mobiles were there which are not having any touch screen and likewise, but nowadays everyone is having the touch screen kind of that mobile. So this is the it is called an advancement of the human society. So it is again depends on the material what you are using. Now civilization has been named based on the level of their material development. Whatever may be the civilizations, it is there that has been divided into the some sort of that level of the material, or based on the level of the materials, that is the Stone Age, Bronze Age, etc. So in the next slide I will clear those things. Now this focus on this particular slide. Now here on this slide some sort of that some figures has been shown over here, and here that is called as a BC and AD. So what is the meaning of all those things? So BC in the sense whatever with our calendar it is there, it has been divided into the two things. So once when that calendar, that is anno, it is called as an anno domini. So when that anno domini it has been started, it has been set the years as a 0. Okay, so when we are using the calendar, it has been set as a 0 at the initially, it is called as an anno domini. And that before Christian years, that is called as a before Christian or Christian. So that this is called as a BC. So here they have not used any kind of that calendar for the reference purpose. So these years were divided or classified into the BC, where there is no any kind of that fixed calendar was there. And after that in anno domini we are using whatever the calendar, that is we are using the calendar of 12 months, then every month has been divided into the 30 days, then that day has been divided into the 24 hours likewise. So some sort of that figures has been set. But in the BC there were no these kind of that some sort of that distribution was there. So that is called as a before Christian year. So here you just focus on this. Now these are the figures of some years. So how we can be able to call it? Just see, I will give the example. 1000 BC means what? The before Christian year means before we are using the calendar before 1000 year ago. Okay, this is before 2000 year ago, in the 2000 year BC, 3000 BC, 4000 BC likewise. And then this is 1000 AD. AD in the sense once we are using the calendar after that 1000 years. This is 1900 means in the 19th century. In this 1960 means this is in the 20th century. It is 1960. In the 20th century it is 1990. And nowadays we are in the 21st century. So 2010. Okay, so this kind of that civilization, whatever maybe the years are there, or civilization has been divided on this material ages. So this is initially it was on a Stone Age. It was 35,000 years, that is in the BC. Then 35 years in the sense since at the initially almost for the 35,000 years the human is only using the stones as a material purpose, means whatever maybe their utensils there or there or some sort of that hunting devices are there, that has been only made up with the stone only. Then some sort of that first bronze has been manufactured, or that has been developed, or human have found out as a bronze, as a material, or as and then they are thinking to just manufacture some sort of that utensils or some components or some sort of that weapons with the help of this bronze. Now, in the movie, might be you have seen some sort of that antique piece, some statues. So that's whatever may be there, thieves are there. They are just doing some sort of that smuggling. I am talking about the movie. You have seen it. So that statues, they are doing the smuggling of the statues, and that statues are made up with the bronze because it is called as an antique piece. Antique piece in the sense the before it was very long year back ago, and that's why it is having the very high value in the market. So those all those statues were made up with the bronze. Okay, so because there were no any alternative material at that time, and that's why it was just only made up with the bronze. After that, the iron age was there. So when that calendar was found, that time or near about that time, that iron, we have found out the iron as a material, and then afterwards some sort of that in the next 60 years we are used the some sort of the concrete, steel, then silicon. Now it is very information age, so we are using some advanced materials nowadays, and that again in the next lecture we are discuss on this. Then the polymer age. Okay, so nowadays we are using some sort of that composite for this purpose. Now there is always trust of new advanced material to fulfill the need of the civilization. Now this graph, it is shown how that civilization, it is always trust for the civilization for the some advanced material. So initially it was been focused with the some sort of that wood or stone. The human beings are only use the wood or stone just to make some utensils or just to make some sort of that weapons or likewise. So the only it was been concentrated with these two materials, that is wood and stone. Then later on it has been used some sort of that bronze, then cast iron, then steel, then some sort of it has been found out the aluminium composites nowadays or aramide and carbon fibers. Now I will discuss about some sort of that advanced material over here. You are familiar with all those things, that is the cast iron and steel. Still in day-to-day life we have seen many more utensils in our kitchen, it is made up with the steel. Also the cast iron we have seen, or some sort of that whatever with the concrete or our buildings are there, that has been used some sort of that steel. So whatever with the steel we will see in depth in the further lectures, but initially only we want to discuss about which kind of that material we are using it. Also nowadays the advanced material what we are using or whatever the research is going on, this is going on this particular material, that is the composite. So in the composite many more fibers has been used, many more resin has been used. Why this is that composite, or what is the just beauty of the composites, that is it is very lighter material and which is competing in the strength to the steels. There were no any alternative for the steels, but nowadays the composite is providing same kind of that strength like a steel, but the weight, just see the friends, the weight reduction is almost 70% or 75%. In the few researchers they have shown, they have reduced the that weight up to the 75%. Means what, if we are manufactured any application or any component which has been used with the steel and which carries the weight of 1 kg, the same kind of that strength we are achieving in the composite material, same kind of that strength I am repeating in the composite material with only 0.25 kg weight. So that is 250 gram we can say. So same kind of that strength that component is giving, which is manufactured with the composite. So this is the beauty of the material. So we can be able to manufacture the same application with the same strength, but only we need to change the material. So that's why the material is the very important parameter in the engineering. Now we will discuss about the Stone Age initially. So 3 lakh BC. BC in the sense already I have explained. So what was the Stone Age? the people living in caves and hunting with the stone made up weapons. Now, in the history, in the fifth standard or sixth standard, you have learned this. So whatever the peoples are there, they are living in the caves and doing the hunting with the help of the stones, right? So that we have learned in the our history subject. Afterwards, before 2 lakh or in the 2 lakh BC, that is before Christian year, so the discovery of the fire was there. So it is the very important discovery as far as that human beings are concerned, because on the people's initially whatever the food it was there, they have not cooked though or boiled that food, and that food has been eaten by the peoples as it is in whatever maybe the form they are getting that food. Suppose if they are doing the some sort of that hunting of any fish or likewise, so directly they are eating it. So the discovery of the fire, it was the very significant factor or discovery as far as that human life is concerned. But the problem was that was there, if they want to just do the fire, there were no any kind of that means just to controlling of the fire, it is very important. Otherwise, just see, initially in the initial years ago, only the forest was there, a lot of almost that earth was covered with the 90% of the forest. Okay, means whatever way the land it is there, and then if they want to use some sort of that particular fire, it was all that forest was covered with that particular fire. So that's why we can say that that should fire, it should be always should have some in the controlled form. So that difficulty was there in the some sort of that ancient years, and just to utilize that particular heat of the fire, there were no any kind of that significant material that any kind of that option was there, and that's why that containing the fire was not possible without any material. Means when you want to restrict that particular fire, we need some sort of that materials. Now in our kitchen, we are knowing that whatever may be the cooker, it was there, some sort of that some utensils was there, then we are having some sort of that gases or LPG gas, and for that purpose we are having a lot of utensils just to control all those things. So just to control the fires, we need some sort of that pots, okay, or whatever method that pot has to be manufactured with the some sort of that material. In the old ages or in the stone age, all those pots were just clay, or that is that pot has been were manufactured with the help of that ceramic materials, and the peoples were cooking or boiling all those vegetables or some sort of that non-veg also, because they are doing some hunting. So some sort of that animals or some fishes that has been boiled or cooked in those pots. So those pots, what they are doing, they are just controlling the flame. So all those things we are knowing. So just that's why that just to control that particular fire, we need some sort of that pots. So when we are just firing any kind of that wood, so just to control that fire, we need some sort of that bricks. So we are at initial ages, that brick has been manufactured, and then that wood has been set under that particular bricks. So that bricks can be able to control that particular fire, and that heat has been transmitted to that particular whatever the food it was there. So in that way, the peoples were just developing, or that has been carried out. So I think for this first lecture, this much introduction is sufficient, and you are familiar with this particular all those materials. So again, once again, just understand why this material science and metallurgy subject is needed, because just focus material science, it is just focusing on the materials as well as their applications. So when you want to establish, just see what is the meaning of engineering, we have to just make a fantastic applications for the human beings, and those applications now just see whatever maybe the nowadays we are facing the problem of the corona, that is the COVID-19, and for that purpose we have to use some sort of that sanitizer, some masks, and likewise just to safeguard ourselves. And nowadays, many more peoples are selling some sort of that automatic sanitizer machines, some mask making machines. So all those machines, all those whatever that functionality, some sort of that machines are there, they need the material. And whatever may be the application, as an application point of view, when you want to make any application which is supporting to the society, the material is the very important parameter. So this is the first lecture. I would like to introduce what is the meaning of material science. In the next lecture, again, we will just continue with how that milestone was carried out in the ages or civilization ages. So thank you very much, all the friends, just for the patience listening. We will continue shortly. Thank you very much.